or this evening, I wanted to come and do a quick video. I always say they're going to be quick, but I'm saying that because I don't know how long they go be. But anyways, I was abruptly woken up in the middle of the night by this man who was being extremely loud and belligerent, and the things he was stating were very demonically targeted towards me. Okay. And that's not the reason that I actually wanted to come and do this video, but it is what got me up in the middle of the night. Okay. So I ended up having to call in people, on this man, which was really strange because, well, I mean, it's not strange when you're spiritually tapped in because you already know what it is. But as soon as I'm making the call, this dude, who is a big burly dude, he jumps the fuck up and damn near runs out of the area. Like, I'm quite sure I was not speaking loud enough for this man to hear who I was talking to or what I was talking about. So that he would know is just more proof and evidence of his demonic um, alliance, his demonic connection, if you will. So anyways, enough of that. That's not what I came to do this video about. What I came to do this video about is because once I was up, right? And so I wanted to share with you guys this video that I actually just watched while I was up. Okay. So this lady is speaking in the video about her marriage and how she had went to a therapy session with her avoidant husband, and at that therapy session is where she actually found out that he was an avoidant. Okay. And so the therapist had given her like um I guess you could say paragraphs and paperwork that was describing what she was dealing with or whatever. So they only went to one therapy session, and at some point it wasn't really clear to me after that therapy session how long after that he actually ended up one day just leaving her, and it was very abrupt and took her I guess by surprise or whatever. And so she said that in the beginning, she kind of did what most women do, which is, attempt to fight for the relationship. She also was, questioning herself as a woman, like, what did I do? Could I have done something different? Da, 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 all that kind of stuff that women, a lot of times will kind of internalize rather than seeing, the situation spiritually, intellectually, and um, everything clearly, right? So I think it was about a month or so, month and a half out, where she like has everything click into place, like that she has, cleansed her energy. She's cleansed her house, for 2 months that this man has been gone. And she realizes that she, being in her own space and place, has found her peace again. She stated that her weight had dropped, obviously, because she was no longer stressed in a toxic, avoidant attachment style relationship. And well, she didn't completely state what the full title of that avoidant relationship is really called. However, she literally started to come to the clarity, the moments of aha, the light bulb coming on over her head about, the entire situation, right? And like I stated, she had lost weight because she was no longer in that stressful, toxic relationship that had her stress hormones, the hormone cortisol high. So immediately when she began to be at peace, she's not releasing that, hormone anymore that was, keeping that weight on. Okay. So, I want to point this out because, you know, there's a lot of videos on TikTok of women that have shown pictures of before they met a man and were in a relationship with a man, and then pictures of when they were in the relationship with the man, and how, these men, they have this whole thing about women letting themselves go within a relationship. But what's not really discussed is how they're energy harvesting, stealing, um, you know, energy to manifest off of the women. They they could be doing actual spell work and sex magic and all kinds of things, and then leaving that woman, instead of pouring into her, they leave that woman so depleted. They leave her so stressed out that she has gained weight, not because she's overeating, not because she's not, working out or doing, the things that she's supposed to be doing, just purely on the stress that he is causing her, period. She has gained this weight. And then once she leaves, it's the women are showing like facts of before, during, and after. Because, there's this whole thing, people have known for decades how women glow up after they get out of a relationship, right? And this is so telling of what was going on, because it wasn't the woman. It wasn't the woman. It was absolutely the relationship. So this woman that I was watching her video, she realized, she was like, this is what she stated. She said, I was pouring into a cup that didn't have a bottom in it. She was pouring into basically what I envisioned when she stated that cup didn't have a bottom in it, that she was pouring into a void. She was pouring into a empty, bottomless pit that was never going to fill up. And one thing that she said is that when she went through this process of coming back into herself, she realized that she was like, life is short. I don't have enough time for him to, in this lifetime, figure out all what he has going on. Talking about her ex-husband, because she was like 50, he was like 65, and she was like, I don't have time for all of that, for him to figure all this stuff out and heal and do all of that. And it didn't seem or sound like he was even on that journey and trying to do any of that. Okay. So the point of that is that when he left, it, probably hurt her at first, but she quickly realized how much peace, how much, she had turned into something, and she had regained herself and like blossomed into this beautiful creature that she didn't even know existed. Okay. So it also reminded me of a point in time with what she was stating in her story. It reminded me of a time when I was dealing with Dee Dee Sunshine Hartley, uh, Dolores Diane, Dee Dee Sunshine Hartley Smith Barnes, right? And I had forgiven her, right? And she was continually doing the same exact things that I had forgiven her for, but in real time at that time. And so I was just like questioning, how do you forgive somebody that isn't making any of the necessary changes, any of the necessary doing any of the necessary healing, or even holding themselves liable and accountable to step up to do the work or make the changes of what they want you to forgive them, and you have wanted to forgive them, and then you forgave them, but then they're continually doing that same thing. So I want to basically uh relate it to an an open wound. And so you have this open wound from an individual, and you do all of the care that it takes to, you know, clean out the wound, stitch the wound up with, you know, sutures, aka stitches. You make sure that you put the proper ointments and creams and make sure that it's not getting infected, and you take all the proper nutrients to help and assist the healing, right? And you nurture it back to it healing all the way, and that wound is closed up. You got a scar, but it's closed up. Okay. And that individual still in your life doing those same things that they were forgiven for and that you forgave them for, goes and recuts every time they do that thing that you forgave them for and they wanted you to forgive them for. They literally cut that same wound back open. So yes, you forgave them, but you gave them access to cut you again. And so while they wanted the forgiveness, they actually were never intending on changing. A narcissist never will change. They are extremely demonic, and they do not have, for the most part, there might be one out of 99.99%. There might be that one that can. Okay, so I'm not going to say there ain't exceptions to the rule, but I'm going to tell you, in my experience, these mofos are very empty, like that void pouring into an empty cup that has no bottom, a bottomless pit of nothingness that will drain your ass and suck all the life out of you, because they actually don't have any and they are not connected. Okay. And if you've ever been around an individual that really feels like the void, like, it is a very interesting feeling of like an energetic like hole. I don't even know how to explain it. But either way, When you allow these individuals to have access, which in this woman's story, this man left her, and it had to have hurt originally, but I'm telling you, she came to a beautiful space and place in herself. But also, when that man left, it reminded me of the saying, rejection is protection. And so him leaving was one of the greatest gifts that could have possibly happened to her, because he was not going to be able to, he wasn't choosing to change. Not that he couldn't change, but he wasn't choosing to change. And him stepping out of her life allowed for her to be able to regain her peace, her life back. And if she so choose to get in another relationship whenever she, you know, decided to. But the point is, and that I wanted to, you know, like really reiterate, is that when he left, he's no longer reopening that wound. When I cut off access to Dolores, Diane, Dee Dee, Sunshine, Hartley, Smith, Barnes, and all her fake ass children and the whole fake family, that access is denied. The access does not allow for the wound to be reopened. So when you're in your healing journey, and I'm talking about, you know, forgiving people wholly and completely, it's not something you could fake, right? When you forgive them, right, but you have cut off access for them to reopen those wounds. And even sometimes when they reopen them, they try to make them bigger than the last time. So what might have been and started out as, you know, a 2-inch, 1-inch deep cut, you know, ends up being a gaping freaking hole, right? With them continually having access to make that, you know, injury bigger and bigger and bigger. So my question had been, how do I forgive this individual that is still doing the same thing that they want me to forgive them for and I want to forgive them for, but they're still doing it? And they are, it had years and years and years and years to change this behavior. And although they will gaslight, although they will honeymoon, love bomb you and say all the right things that they're going to do these things, it never happens. The intention was never for it to happen. Okay? So what I'm saying and what I'm stating is that once that man was out of that woman's life, she was able to heal, to forgive not only that individual, but to forgive herself. And him not having the access back to her allowed for those wounds not to be compromised again, not to be reopened or made bigger. Okay? And that is what I want you guys to really think about. Who in your life is re-injuring you purposefully? Who is in your life that's literally right there, you know, that you want to forgive, but they ain't making no kind of efforts to change the behavior that has made the wound in the first place? You need to get them out of your motherfucking life immediately. When is now going to be the best time to do it? Listen, I'll rather be alone than, you know, in bad company. I'll rather be by myself, because what has that saying go? I could do bad all by myself, so I don't need anybody, assisting in some doing bad. I actually thrive and do wonderful by myself. So it's like when women start waking, and some men too. Let's not just leave the men out, because there are, this is, there's narcissists in both, and there are demons running around in vessels in both genders. Okay, there's karmics on both sides. Okay, so once we realize and use our discernment, our intuition, and break whatever spell work, love spells, all this other stuff that these people done over our lives and everything, we've healed, and you've come to a place and space of peace, you are a lot more sensitive, aware, and discerning, and that intuition can come in and up, because you're not pulled in all these different directions. You're not so busied that you're missing any telltale signs or red flags in these weirdos, right? And so, anyways, I'm not going to, as they say, run it up. I just wanted to come and share this information with you guys, because I know that a lot of people go through some of this very same stuff, and the more that we keep these things on the table and table of discussion, right, it's helping people heal. And you can see, one, that you're not alone, and two, that there is not only hope, but there's healing. True and utterly full healing is available to people, right? But you can't be continually being re-injured thinking that you're going to heal. You can't be with the toxicity and think that when you've taken all this time to heal yourself, they come with that fucking knife and stab you in the back again, or the front, and make that bigger and bigger. No, you have to stop allowing the access to the backstabbers, to the front stabbers, okay, so that you can truly heal. And the only way that you're going to truly, truly heal from that is that they ain't in your life no more to be able to do the toxic that was causing you the pain in the first place. Okay. With that being said, I'm out. If you need anything else from me, make sure you look in the description where I have my 3 websites. One being my print-on-demand fine art. The second being Nieve Tigres merch store. And then you can also find my interactive, technologically advanced activity ebook. You can support this channel by love offerings and hitting up my CashApp, PayPal, buy me a coffee, or you can simply utilize newly my Venmo. And if financial means do not allow for any of those things, then you can always like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you can be alerted to whenever we have any new videos, as well as newly hype me up. I hype me up. I got 99 problems. I don't got 99 problems, but I do got 100 reasons to make my life successful. Okay. And I would say 100 reasons and a kitty baby and 4 other babies that are definitely motivation, and knowing that they counting on me to get it right. Ooh. So anyways, if you have any additional thoughts, or you have been through similar situations, I read the comments. I comment back. Put your situations and You don't have to put it if you don't want, but just let us know that you resonate. And if you do put it in the comments, somebody else might be needing whatever your take or your insight is on the situation for their healing and growth. You never know when things are said just a little bit differently for people to actually have that aha moment, for people to have that, moment of truth, that moment of enlightenment, that everything just clicks together and makes perfect sense. Okay. Sometimes it just needs that one little word, one little, inflection, and then it just hits people differently. Right. And so even reading it in the comments, people might have that moment of aha, and you could be helping other people as well, with whatever your story and situation is. So, anyways, I'm not going to, as I say, run it up. You guys have a wonderful rest of your day, whatever time you end up coming into seeing this video or hearing this video. Peace.